So long, man. Have a good rest.
Fuck you! Help me! Taking maybe one step more. I really lost my little friend.
Every Thursday night, you ask the questions, DT gives you his answers. No holds barred.
It's Q&A with Don Tony. This is your chance to speak your mind and be heard about anything.
Q&A with Don Tony. And now, your host, Don Tony. Don Tony. Don Tony. Don Tony.
All right. Long time no speak, everybody. I tell you what's going to be great about tonight is we're going to just kick back, relax, have some fun chat, live stream. And then in a little bit, we will play that Wrestlecrap. Yeah, if you look on the left, you see a moon over Broadway, CM Punk's bare ass. I'll explain where this video came from and why it's never been seen before. I got my, no joke, you could see there's legit coffee. You could see the smoke coming out of it. Having a cup of coffee tonight. This is going to be a very relaxed episode, everybody. Just going to hang out. Oh, listen, I know tonight they're doing Dark Side of the Ring XPW. I mean, I'm probably going to watch it because more than anything, I want to see what they got wrong. I want to see what they exaggerated, what they sensationalized. And look, all forms of entertainment do that. I'm not saying, that they're doing anything wrong, but I want to see what they grossly get wrong. But because so many years have gone by, there's nobody there to really challenge it or anything like that. But you know what? If it's good TV, it's good TV. Now, this shirt, no joke, this shirt has sentimental value to me. Thank God it still fits. This is kind of proof, everybody, that I have lost weight since 2002. For anybody out there that doesn't know the backdrop with yours truly in XPW, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I won't spend a lot of time on it. I started my wrestling hotline in 1997. Became the #1 non-pay wrestling hotline in the United States in about a year. Just clicked. My style back then was very plain, very bland. I have old hotline reports that I know some of you have heard already. I will ultimately put it here for all of you to laugh at. I sound like a nerd. I sound like a goof. And no personality. But the one thing I always did was I always told it like I saw it. And authenticity, which is #1 important. Authenticity. When you put up this agenda, fake attitude, sooner or later it catches up to you. It might be cool right now, but sooner or later it catches up to you. When you're authentic, it never goes away. It may not be as popular, but it never goes away. And another thing is I always talk to everyone as if we were all hanging out, having a barbecue, couple of drinks, just talking about wrestling more than anything else. So it became really popular. In 2001, shout out to Brandon Jones. I know it'll pop up any second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Boom! It'll come up. It'll come up. Brandon Jones enjoyed Crown Jewel, and he knew that Becky might retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. My prediction was Bianca Belair because it would have made more sense, especially after I don't know if you call it the screw job that Bianca Belair had with Becky Lynch, but listen, man, go look at PWI. I know PWI doesn't have as much value as it used to. That's from earlier. I'm sure Cruiserweight, yes, I do have the top 10 list. We'll get back to that a little bit. But PWI, there it goes. A little late. It's a little tired today, the computer. Computer's been on since early this morning. I turned the computer on this morning at 8 o'clock, set everything up, went to work, came home just in time for Crown Jewel, and made sure that everything stood on. So things might be a little bit slower. I know you leave a computer on all day long. It doesn't turn into a human where it's just tired later on. But I thought it just made more sense. But getting back to Bianca, if you go check out the PWI top 150 for 2021 or October of last year to October of this year, Bianca is ranked number 1. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm glad you enjoyed Crown Jewel. It was definitely a good pay-per-view. Enjoyed it. Best pay-per-view of the year. Anyway. So, doing my wrestling hotline in 1997, became the number 1 hotline. And in 2000, I get one thing about my hotline too is you could always leave messages. And I know some of you out there have heard that message montage of all my listeners paying tribute to Eddie Guerrero when he passed. My former co-host, Kevin Castle, who was a caller to my hotlines, he actually had left a voicemail as well as a caller. And so people could leave messages, not just in tragedy, feedback, always welcomed it. So one day in 2000, I get a voicemail message from someone in ECW. I don't want to mention his name. Very famous guy. He's like, hey, man, I keep hearing all this stuff about your hotline that, you know, you got crazy listeners, big viewership, big followership or following, excuse me. We'd love for you to do a little work for ECW. And ECW is my favorite fed since 1990. Oh, really 94. 93 is when I discovered it, but 94 is when I became addicted. And I always put over ECW on the shows, and ECW was still in business at the time. So, long story short, I end up working just a little bit, pushing tickets more than anything else through the hotline. In return, you know, I got a little bit of kickback, got to sit front row at all the shows, and we get to go backstage a few times. And I know you all know the infamous story of bringing all the catering to Guilty as Charged and Spike Dudley throwing up, and they blamed it on the food. And Francine on the pay-per-view simulating that the edge of the hero looked like a body part. If you look at it closely, it's my dad's store, you know, so which was pretty cool. Anyway, ECW ends up going out of business. XPW now wants to come to the Northeast. And the funny thing is, I swear in a stack of Bibles, if that guy Slash ever checks out these shows and any of you still talk to him, he will tell you I'm not lying. When they were coming to the East Coast, I wanted to have East Coast versus West Coast feud, like rap music. I thought XPW invading the ECW arena would be looked at as sacrilegious. You have West Coast versus East Coast. You get a bunch of ECW wrestlers representing East Coast. You get XPW wrestlers wrestling West Coast, and they collide. The first show that they ever did was Hostile Takeover. The problem is that everybody was pretty much working together. Yes, you had some matches featuring an XPW guy versus a former ECW guy, but that was not a storyline. So I'm asked to do the bus trips for XPW because of all the tickets they sell for ECW. So the first show, Hostile Takeover, they did like, 1,200 people at that show? A third of them were for my buses. I actually sold out 4 or 5 buses that went from New York to Philly. And all I was doing at that time was the bus trips. That's it. Nothing else, just the bus trips. So right before the first event, Hostile Takeover, I get a phone call and they're like, hey, would you want to pick up the Mexicans from JFK Airport or LaGuardia? No, it was LaGuardia. Was it LaGuardia? No, it was JFK, I think. I don't remember. But anyway, they're like, you want to pick up the Mexicans? That's how it was labeled. And that was Psychosis, Halloween, Damien, and Hoovy. Was it Hoovy? Oh, anyway. I remember driving them back, but those three guys for sure. And I got pictures hanging out with them from that day as well. So I'm like, yeah, I'll pick them up. So I got, in the year 2002, a 2000 Pontiac Sunfire. Any of you out there that doesn't know what that car looked like, just Google it, 2000 Pontiac Sunfire. That's made for small children. It's not made for somebody who at the time is 6'3", 6'4", weighing like 275, 280. But I bought it for my ex, and when we broke up, I took the car back. She got nothing. So because I got stuck with this car, what am I supposed to do with it? So instead of renting a caravan, which I did the second show, I used the Pontiac Sunfire. So you got myself and 3 or 4 Mexicans all cramped up in this Pontiac Sunfire. So we drive all the way to Philly. And yes, you all know the stories about the Kentucky Fried Chicken and hey, baby, chochawena. We don't need to go there tonight. So I sell 4 or 5 bus trips, 4 or 5 buses sold out. Hostile Takeover, amazing, amazing show. Yes, controversy, that's the show. Terry Funk, Shane Douglas slicing his arm open. Terry Funk pulling the panties off of Lizzie Borden. The bullshit accusations that Supreme and Angel brawled in the women's bathroom while the State Athletic Commission's daughter was taking a leak. You could Google all this stuff and the history is there. All bullshit. State Athletic Commission tried to shut them down. I have an interview with Shane Douglas, which if one day you want to hear it, I'll play it. Hasn't been online since 2002. Crazy, I'll get into yours in a moment. But thank you very much, my friend, for the super chat. I will definitely spend a couple of moments on that for you, my brother. So we got Hostile Takeover. Now, I had done a little work behind the scenes for ECW. I pick up the Mexicans. We drive to ECW Arena. We're hanging out, having a great time. So now we're done. Hostile Takeover is about to start. So I'm sitting front row with Matt Zombie, Brian Damage, Timmy Arson, the ECW Zombie, God rest his soul, a couple of local New York indie wrestling guys, and Mongo, who was the middleman to get like Damien and Halloween in New York. That's how I actually got Damien and Halloween to wrestle for USA Pro Wrestling against Sabu and Jimmy Snuka that time. It was me and Mongo that did that. So I'm sitting front row. I'm ready to enjoy the show. No bullshit. There's actual video proof of it. I'm sitting front row with some goofy shirt on, and about 5-10 minutes before we go live, / before I realized he was a dirtbag, came up to me. He's got a shirt in his hand. And he's like, Anthony, you want to do timekeeping tonight? I'm like, I never did timekeeping before. It's like, it's easy. You just, you've heard it on TV plenty of times. Ding, ding, ding. Do the timekeeping. You sit with Chris Claus. You sit with Kingdom James. You sit with the State Athletic Commission. You do the timekeeping. This is 10 minutes before the show starts. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. No problem. He's like, here, take this shirt, put it on. Here? Yeah, put it on. So I was freaking so excited. I pulled my other shirt off. You're jiggling, baby. Go ahead, baby. 280 pounds at that time was not Lex Luger 280. So I take the shirt off. I put this shirt on. And at that time, this shirt did not fit. It was way too small. But I put it on. I hop the guardrail. And I go from the guardrail to the timekeeper's table. No back. No chair. Just straight to the timekeeper's table. I look in the corner of my eye. And Mongo is smiling, and he's like, fucking awesome. I remember Timmy Arson, God rest his soul, ECW Zombie. He's like, oh, I don't know. Matt Zombie looked pissed off. Because you know how it is on social media now. You have good things happen to you. There's always those group of people that are bitter about it. And there was definitely some animosity. So Hostile Takeover goes down. And obviously you've seen the video. You'll see me at the timekeeper's table when Angel, the hardcore homo, say that fast 10 times, and Supreme went through the light tubes right next to me. If you look at me as it happened, you'll see me like this. But meanwhile, inside, I was like a little kid, excited, ecstatic, loved it. And I had the privilege of doing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And Slash and myself were the ones that got Daphne into that company, because I had just become friends with Daphne about a year and a half before. You already know that story. I showed you the letter, with all the original stuff. And we got her in. She was Lucy Fur, because she couldn't use the Daphne name at the time because of Jimmy Hart. So this has a lot of sentimental value because this is the actual shirt that was thrown to me. You want to do timekeeping? Put this on. The rest is history. And if you think I'm lying, go watch Hostile Takeover. There's matches on YouTube streaming. Just look up anything Hostile Takeover. Just look over the timekeeper's table. Some people say that I haven't aged much at all. And some people say, wow, you're old now. So, yeah. So obviously I have a warm part, nice part of my heart for XPW. Wasn't as bad of a place as you think. Did Rob Black royally F up by shipping adult videos across state lines? Yeah. And there was more. And he was always accused of being the one to send the guys to cut off, what's his, oh my God. I was just talking about him to a friend the other day. What's the guy again that got his fingers cut off? Holy shit. I'm brain fart. It's been a very long day, everybody. Very long day. Now, I don't know if some of you are aware, but we also did a Crown Jewel recap not too long ago. Come on, chat room, bail me out of this one. Story can't be that boring. So what was the guy's name again with the fingers cut off? Nobody knows? Are you kidding me? I know there's like a 5-second delay, so probably like 3, 2, 1, somebody will pull it up. Nobody? Twix, Cruiserweight, Mike, Bolts, Austin. I don't see the chat room moving. I hope we didn't have a server. Nobody knows. Holy shit, just type in XPW finger cut off. Messiah, don't forget it. I just remembered the Messiah. Forget it. Thank you. Anyway, the Messiah. I still remember the Current Affair episode from that time. The Messiah. That was pretty crazy shit, man. And you know what's funny? When people started finding out that I was doing work for XPW and then, starting to, do a lot of little things here and there, the one question that people ask me more and more, I mean, the second most popular question is, how's like Lizzie Borden and Veronica Kane and others behind the scenes? I guess people thought, seriously, I'm not kidding. This goes back to my hotline days. There were people that really thought that because you're working with people in the adult industry, that after the show is over, everybody's in the hotel room getting laid, pumping someone. Not the case at all. I could honestly tell you that any interaction I had with Lizzie Borden was nothing but nice. Veronica Kane truly was one of the nicest people that I had talked to back in that day. She was a really, really nice person. Funny thing is, like, I remember Slash saying to me, he's like, hey, you know, like some of the movies that she did? And he's like, no. I'm like, no. So he's like, next time you come to my house, remind me. So I go to his house. He opens up this big brown box and he's like, here. And he gives me about 10 DVDs of Veronica Kane doing porn. Some of it was pretty wild. They were really, really nice behind the scenes. I still remember to this day, no joke, when it was Lizzie Borden's birthday. And I remember I don't remember what month it was, but I know it was wintertime. Maybe someone wants to just do a quick Google search and see when is Lizzie Borden's birthday. But just a little behind the scenes story that, the nice side of the ring. Lizzie Borden's birthday was coming up the same weekend as an XPW event in Philly. And I remember it being extremely cold. And the ECW arena had no heat. So they wanted to surprise Lizzie Borden with a birthday cake. So Slash and myself, we drive around trying to find bakeries, and they're all closed. December 20th, yeah. And by the way, December 20th, what date is December 20th, 2002? So it was either that weekend or it was, within a day or two. But it could have been that day. December 30th, okay, 1977, December 30th. Thank you, Dorian and Psycho. So it was right within a day or two of the event. So Slash and I go looking for birthday cake. We can't find any place open. I don't know Philly. We didn't have like the smartphones back then where you could just say bakery, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You can't do that. There's none. This is 2002. So we find a Carvel and we go to Carvel. We pick up the biggest cake we can. We pick up candles and everything. And Tom Byron, anybody remember the porn star Tom Byron? Tom Byron was at the event hanging out backstage the whole weekend. Tom Byron was there and a few other people were there. And they set up the cake in the ECW arena, cold as. And they got her, I think, from the hotel, and they brought her in. Everybody wished her a happy birthday. She was surprised, tears falling down her eyes. And she just loved it. And it was a really, really, really nice little moment. That's a lot of the stuff that I saw behind the scenes. Danny Doring. One of the last shows they had at that time, I was standing in front of Rob Black's hotel room, waiting to get paid. And, whatever. And I'm standing in the hotel room, and I don't remember if it was G.I. Ho, but as I walk past a couple of hotel rooms to get to his door, there was a hotel door open, and I just happened to look in the door as I'm walking down the thing, and I think it was G.I. Ho, and she's just laying on the bed with the door open, not naked, but, she was in a nice little outfit. Somebody was getting lucky that night. And while I'm there, Danny Doring runs down the hallway pretty much naked. And I laughed my ass off, and I interviewed Danny Doring back in the day as well. And I know a couple of years ago, I had told the story because it was about something else. And I guess somebody thought that I was lying. And the person went back to Danny Doring and said, this guy, Don Tony, because at the time the name Don Tony, I didn't have it yet. Everybody just that knew me as Anthony DeBlasi. Yeah, this guy DeBlasi says, that one time at the XPW, you ran up and down the hall, like pretty much naked. And he laughed his ass off. He's like, yeah, tell Anthony I said hello. It was fun times back then. Fun times. December 20th, 2002. Thank you, Rocky Red. Yeah, December 20th, 2002. So that's when it was. Because I remember it was right around her birthday, so they got her a surprise birthday cake. And, there are lots of people who are still alive that will remember that. I have somewhere a videotape. I don't know if anybody remember those what were those digital 8 tapes called? They were like tiny little mini cassettes that you would put. It was like, it actually, I know this, I keep showing you the dumb vanilla ice gum, but it actually looked almost like this, just thicker. My camcorder at that time took those little tapes. Now, I haven't had a camcorder since then that took that size tape. Stored somewhere, there is that tape. And if I find that tape, I will go on eBay and buy the cheapest camcorder or adapter that tape fits into, and I'm going to play it for all of you. I'm going to play the stuff I can. And one time Thank you, Rocky Red. It was a Friday. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. It was that weekend of the XPW event. The XPW event, I think, was the next day. It had to, because we did the birthday cake in the ECW arena. You're not doing it the night of the show. So one night we're in my hotel room, and I don't want to get into like who's smoking weed and who's doing this and that, but I'm hanging out and I'm talking to Vic Grimes, and we're just talking about, this videotape that I used to sell on eBay. And the videotape had Beulah, that infamous Penthouse video. It had Kimono Wanalea on there and a couple others. And he's like, next time you come, give me a copy of that tape. Like, yeah, no problem. Pogo the Clown, who's another 400-pound monster, he's on the other bed, and he's talking about truck driving and this and that. And then the next thing I know, a Jerry Lynn, and I think it might have been Chaos. Jerry Lynn and Chaos, or Jerry Lynn and someone else decide they're going to get into a chopping contest. And they're literally just chopping each other over and over and over and over and over again until the person says no more. And this is all going down in my hotel room. Then somebody grabs my camcorder. I think it was Chaos. It starts cutting promos in the camcorder. He passes it to Veronica Kane. Supreme was sitting in the corner. Supreme is one of the most quietest people that I ever met in XPW. He just didn't want none of it. He was just hanging out. But it was some of the funniest shit that I ever saw and witnessed. And this all happened in my hotel room. And they're cutting promos on me. And me, I just feel like a kid, like a fan, because, I wasn't in the business. But I'm going to pull that tape one day, and I will be able to air probably about 2/3 of it. Nothing controversy, nothing embarrassing that anybody's going to get in trouble, but fun times, man, fun times. Twix, very disrespectful question. I know you do that sometimes to get noticed. I never did massive drugs. Never did mad drugs in my life. I experienced Xanax at that time, and because of that, XPW was booted out of the first hotel. If you think I'm lying, Chris Kloss does a podcast now, and he talks about wrestling. Ask him. I'll tell the story. I don't mind, because I was very naive and very stupid at that time. The story is this. It's all right, Twix. I don't take it personal. Story is this. One weekend in XPW, early on, I'm nervous. I'm not used to being around people, just really like that. And yes, I did some work in ECW, and I always told Smoked Out, if you remember when we did shows with him, the podcasts, Smoked Out went backstage with me a couple of times. And I used to always tell him, I didn't have to, but I always told him, you go backstage ECW, just treat everybody like regular people. We hung out with Paul Heyman and a bunch of others, and we're sitting in his room, in his office, and feels larger than life, and just thanking him for everything that he's done for all of us. And, you see in the corner, like, I think it was super crazy. He's just like shy, doesn't want to say nothing in this part. And it was like surreal. And we went with 2 girls, and we're like telling them, please, you go backstage, just treat everybody like regular people. Don't ooh and ah. Next thing I know, it was either Sinister Minister or Cyrus. It was either Sinister Minister or Cyrus. I don't remember which one it was. But one of the girls sees whichever one it was. And she's like, oh, my God, I love you. Like sticking her tongue out like she wants to go with this. Now, I wasn't going with these girls. We had 4 tickets. I had nobody to go with at that time. Smoked Out wanted to go. And he said he's got 2 friends. So I said, fine, I don't care. We bring the girls backstage, and one of them is trying to hit on Don Callis or Sinister Minister. I don't remember which one it was. Very uncomfortable. So anyway, getting back to XPW, because I didn't know anybody well, XPW offered me to stay at the hotel for free. You obviously shared rooms with other people. They're not going to pay for your own room for yourself. I took it upon myself and paid for my own room. In fact, I did that every single time that I ever went to Philly. I always got my own room. Sometimes I roomed with Slash, but I always got my own room. And I guess that's why they would always hang out in it, because if anything went down, let it happen in his room and not their own. So the first time I'm renting the room, because remember that night, I wasn't, the first night, I really wasn't planning on staying there. I was going back on the bus trip with everybody else. So I'm really, really nervous. I don't feel comfortable in this and that. I don't remember who it was. Somebody said, want a half of Xanax? And I've heard of Xanax before, but I never took it. I mean, at that time, you would hear about Xanax and Somas. I don't want to name any people in wrestling, but I'm sure over the years you've heard claims of certain wrestlers addicted to Somas. That's what the big one was back then, Somas. A little bit of Xanax too. So somebody offered me a half a stick of Xanax. And they said, this is going to make you relax. It's like Valium. I said, all right. What am I going to do, look like a little pussy? So I took the half a stick. Half hour later, nothing. Nothing. Don't feel nothing at all. So I went back to this person and I said, you get too much if I take another half? Whoa, cowboy. Cowboy, you never took it before. You sure? I'm like, I don't feel nothing. All right, you sure? Gives me the other half. I take it too. I do the commentary. Everything is fine. I feel a little weird, a little too relaxed. No problem. The show is over, and I don't remember what I did. I took, I think, one or two people to the diner. I remember we ate at some diner with these big, high boots and glass things, a couple of blocks away from the ECW arena. We go straight to the diner, and I eat. Now it's probably like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. So we get to the hotel, and I'll never fucking forget this. Rob Black is sitting in the lobby. Supreme is sitting in the lobby, and a couple of others. I walk up to the booth, and I said to the guy, I said, yes, I'd like to check in. And I give him my name. He looks in the book, and he says, oh, sir, I'm sorry. We gave your room to someone else. I'm like, what do you mean you gave my room to someone else? I prepaid it. But you didn't check in by whatever it was, 11 o'clock or midnight, and we just assumed that you weren't coming. I said, well, you assumed wrong. I said, I don't live over here. I paid for the room. I want my room. And the guy was just like throwing it off like no big deal, like, sorry, there's nothing we could do. I started cursing this guy out. I'm not going to say what nationality he was. I'm not going to say if he was white, black, tan, green, blue. But I tried to think of every insult I possibly could to berate this guy. And I fucking yelled and screamed and threatened and this and that. And the next thing you know, Chris Claus says to me, he's like, look, you want to sleep in our room tonight? We'll ask a fold-out bed. Please, we'll let him sleep in our room tonight. So, I'm like, I want my money back, you motherfuckers. I paid this fucking thing. It doesn't matter if I check in or not. If I can pay for the room and never show up. So Chris Claus gets a folding bed and puts me literally in a hallway between like the bathroom door and I slept there. No problem. We come back to New York the next day. And that guy Slash calls me up. He's like, Anthony, we got a problem. I said, what's the problem? He says, you can't do anything anymore for XPW. I said, why not? He's like, do you remember what happened this weekend? I'm like, yeah, a little bit. He's like, you got XPW kicked out of the hotel. They're not allowed to go back. And they're pissed off at you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, this and that. I said, look, I just flipped out because I got no place to sleep. And, I just, they ultimately forgave me. And yes, I had to do extra work to show that I really gave a shit about XPW. I wasn't a troublemaker. Never did Xanax after that. Never did it after that. It totally flipped me out. It totally flipped me out. So I actually got XPW kicked out of the first ever hotel they got in Philly at the ECW arena. True story. And there's a lot of people to back that shit up. And again, at that time, the number one question that people kept asking me on my hotline was, are you a little like nervous of Rob Black? Are you scared of him? Do you feel like, that he was responsible for having Messiah's fingers cut off? And I'm like, nah, I don't think it was him. I said, anything is possible, but I always thought Rob Black was cool. I never was intimidated. He was a very, very, just a very vicious guy. I mean, very blunt. I mean, in that type of industry, I guess you probably have people trying to screw you over, not physically, but, the guy was, really, really a strong persona, but no, I honestly never thought at that time, because especially after I got XPW kicked out of the hotel, some people like, Anthony, because I wasn't Don Tony, they're like, Anthony, you better watch those fingers. You better watch that voice box. And I'm like, stop. It wasn't my fault. So, yeah, that is the infamous Xanax story. Never did it again after that. So, but yes, so this is why I have this shirt on. This is the actual shirt that I wore, Hostile Takeover, the first night they had me work for XPW. So, a lot of sentimental value for me. So, a few moments ago, Crazy Cruiserweight sent in his super chat. He brings up the criteria for the PWI Top 150 for women on that list. And it's based on in-ring achievement, wins, losses, the influence in their own promotion, any industry at large, technical ability. I think it's also like the level of competition, like you're not just facing jobbers all the time, all right? And the top 10 of the top 150 has come out. I don't know if you all have seen this yet, but they have ranked from, I would say, October of last year to October of this year. They ranked Bianca Belair number 1. Let me read you the top 10. Number 1, Bianca Belair. Number 2, Utami Hayashita from Stardom. Number 3, Deonna Purrazzo from Impact. Number 4, Dr. Britt Baker from AEW. Number 5, Thunder Rosa. Number 6, Sasha Banks. Number 7, Sayuri from Stardom. Number 8, Io Shirai. Number 9, Tam Nakano from Stardom. And number 10, Raquel Gonzalez from NXT. My honest opinion on this list, for the most part, a couple of names definitely deserve to be top 10. Believe it or not, Utami Hayashita, I had said on Patreon the other day, I think she only had like 2 or 6 matches. I did some research afterwards and realized she actually did a lot more during the last 12 months. She is, without a doubt, deserving to be in the top 10. The problem is, when you look at the overall influence in the industry, maybe top 10 in Japan, but, if you're going to put somebody from Japan when 95% of the viewers, maybe more than that, don't know who she is, couldn't spot her if you showed a picture, I don't think someone like that should be in the top 10. Just my honest opinion. Because take note of something. You look at the promotions here, there's a lot of promotions that never seem to make the top 10. And if you're going to base it on the biggest of the big, as far as promotions go, I would tend to think that maybe MLW, GCW, at least, those 2 promotions probably have a lot more influence on the industry worldwide than Japan, Stardom. with all due respect. We've been in COVID also. I mean, you look at, I just disagree with that. Not only that, with all due respect, Io Shirai, as far as ability goes, top 10, no question. When you look at the criteria, she has wrestled maybe 8 matches in 2021. Charlotte Flair has wrestled, I think, 57. You telling me that Charlotte Flair is not a top 10 wrestler? I know some people argued about Camille. I brought that up the other day on Patreon too. Camille has only had less than 10 matches in 2021. If you count the last 2 months of last year, possibly a little more. Serena Deeb is not on this list. Rhea Ripley. Yeah, I know Rhea Ripley's main roster run hasn't been the greatest, but she came onto Raw with a bang. I mean, this goes back to a couple of months of 2020 as well. Rhea Ripley's not in that top 10. So the fact that you want to take 3 of those top 10 slots and give it to women of stardom, I think that's more of them trying to make a statement to include, like a lot of overseas talent. I totally disagree with that. I guarantee you that if Japan, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Japan, did a top 10 list, something tells me that we probably would not see that many Americans on that list. It's not a racist thing or anything like that. It's just, you're talking about the overall influence on the industry. Are you serious? That list is very flawed. And I'm talking about it out of respect because we talked about it on Patreon. Cruiserweight was very generous with his super chat. But in my honest opinion, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the top 150, Bianca Belair number 1, that is up for debate. Do I put her in the top 5? Yeah. Do I put her at number 1? I don't know, man. I mean, I understand she had the WrestleMania moment, this and that. But unfortunately, 95% of the other promotions out there are not big enough to have a WrestleMania. So how does someone like that ever break through and become number 1? So this list is extremely flawed, in my opinion. Just my honest, take on it. I mean, I'm not saying that any of these women are not talented. I mean, I totally understand why they were picked and deserving to an extent, but there's some women off this list. Now, you know what's going to happen. Charlotte will probably be like number 11 or number 12, and you'll see they just missed it. You mean to tell me that Sayuri, in the overall landscape of pro wrestling, is more worthy at number 6 than Charlotte Flair? You mean to tell me Sayuri couldn't be number 11, number 12? See, the top 10 is the most important part of that list. Anything from 11 to like 50, people talk about it, but it's not that big of a deal. And once you get past 50, it's the luck of the draw. Remember, in 2008, I could have been in the PWI top 500. I was offered. I said, no, I'm not worthy. I have not done enough. And I think people would make fun of me and mock me. And I didn't want to bring negative attention to myself, so I passed it up. Yes, I regret it because I go back and I would freaking laugh. It'd probably be pinned to my Twitter. It'd probably be my wallpaper. Yes, Tom Nakano is a great choice. But yes, she herself is even ranked a little bit too high. Definitely not top 10. You want to put a 15 to 20? Okay, fine. This, you know what this list sounds like to me? Oh, we already gave it to Charlotte. Oh, we already gave it to this person. I even think Serena Deeb might have been near number 1 before. We got to rotate. Fuck that. You have certain women that still are at the top of their game, just like what Paul Heyman says. The reigning, defending, undisputed top women's wrestler in the world. Or top 10 wrestler in the world. Pro Wrestling Illustrated doesn't sound like that. They do that more on the men's side. But on the women's side, it seems more about making statements than making facts. So, just my opinion. I'm checking out. Oh, I wanted to mention this. We had a death in the world of pro wrestling. And, you know, it surprises me, especially since we just had the FMW episode about hardcore wrestling, that a lot of these places, I don't even think Dark Side of the Ring even like paid respects to this guy. And I know he is not like a huge, well-known person. I don't know if oh, wrong one. I know if a lot of you out there notice this guy. Hideo Takayama. People knew him as Bad Boy Hito. That's short for Hideo. Bad Boy Hito died 2 days shy of his 52nd birthday. He died a couple of days ago. Big time hardcore wrestling. Big time hardcore wrestler back in the day. I did not realize that he was married to Megumi Takayama. She retired and she used to do crazy shit in FMW. Anybody that watched the FMW episode, did they show like Megumi Takayama and some of the hardcore shit that she was doing in that promotion? She retired in 1997. And if I remember correctly, they started becoming an item after she retired from wrestling. He kept going. And they got married a short time after. But go figure, two people in hardcore wrestling, perfect for each other. It'd be funny on their honeymoon if they like, no, never mind. So, yeah, rest in peace, rest in peace. I promise you, if you Google now hardcore wrestling and Bad Boy Hito, you'll actually find some interesting matches. Check out the feud with him and Jushin Thunder Liger. When they had a little bit of ECW versus FMW, you know, that feud that should have been much bigger but wasn't, ECW, he was involved in that. He wrestled a few times. I think there was a 6-man tag once. It might have been, Sandman Dreamer and one of the Dudleys versus, you know, when they went to Japan. So if you look it up, I think you probably would recognize him if you see some of those matches, but I just wanted to mention it because unfortunately his name is not clickbait enough, an attention getter enough for people to pay respects. So we always try to pay respect here. So rest in peace. You know, 51 years old, way too young to go. I have no idea what the cause of death was. So I just wanted to mention that. Shout out to Dream 101. Yes, we got the chat room over here. Let's see. Just want to see what it looks like. Okay, it actually looks good. I wanted to make sure you could see all the comments. I'll put it back up in a second. You know, we got some video tonight. Since we're going to end the show a little bit earlier than usual, and we definitely are going to end it a little bit earlier tonight. It's been a long week, but had a blast. I got 20 minutes of fun for you tonight. And I know I've teased it the last 2 days. If you look on the left, that is a screenshot of what you're going to see tonight. That is CM Punk's bare ass. Now, I will say that was a little bit of a tribute to Chris Candido, because sometimes when Chris Candido would have matches, his tights would get pulled down and he would work part of the match with his ass halfway out. I know it sounds ridiculous in 2021, but believe me, I've seen it many times. That was the first Chris Candido Memorial show. That was the show, if you remember, that I had raised about $3,500. There was some controversy with that. I still have the canceled checks. I've shown them to Mish. I've shown them to a few people. I mean, but I would never make it public, number one, because I don't want my personal information out there. And yes, I could own it, but the controversy was this. Chris Candido had passed in 2005. Chris Candido was very close friends with the Mass Maniac. I became friends with Chris Candido. Chris Candido, by far, one of the nicest, coolest people that I ever met in wrestling. You talk to this guy on the phone, you would never think that the guy was a wrestler. you would think he's a wrestling fan, but his personality, his humor, the guy was incredible. And like I said, I don't say it to brag or to rub it in, but a lot of you know that Johnny Candido, his brother, did a documentary paying tribute to his fallen brother, Chris. Johnny asked me to be in that documentary. And he said, I want you to tell some of the stories, your personal stories, some of the things that he knew already, and maybe a little bit of the XPW stuff that nobody knew as well. And I said, Johnny, I'd love to do it. I said, but you know me, what I always say to you guys over the years, I'm a nobody. You know, I'm just a regular person like all of you. I just happen to have a camera in front of me, you know, whatever. I said, nobody wants to see me on a video. I said, they want to see the famous people, the relatives, you. I said, as much as I would love to do it, I'm not going to do it. I regret it. I regret it. I could only imagine the shit I would have heard from people at the time. What is this guy doing? A lot of people don't know the friendship that we built privately. So he passed away a week before a wrestling event that the Masked Maniac and myself and someone else, we were all going partners in. Masked Maniac at that time, I made money with him. And when Chris had passed, and I've brought it up so many times before, it was one of those days, I remember exactly where I was, what I was wearing, what I was doing. I remember the weather. I remember what was on TV. I remember everything about that day. And I remember the Masked Maniac calling me, and he just was bawling in tears. I'm like, what happened? What happened? And all he said was Chris died. And I just had this chill, this repeated chill going down my spine. I'm like, oh no, what happened? You know, obviously we would ultimately find out, but that event, any wrestlers that wanted to work for free, their pay would be donated to Tammy. It would be donated for funeral expenses. It would be donated. And a lot of wrestlers that night worked for free. I think CM Punk is one of those that worked for free as well. Credit to him. I had raised online about $3,200 or $3,500. When I always say I'll always appreciate and always support Dave Meltzer, when I was selling Chris Candido t-shirts through the website and we were taking, you know, donations and I was raising it for his funeral expenses and to give to Tammy, Dave Meltzer gave me 100 wrestling newsletters for free. He said to me, what's your address? He says, I'm going to send you 100 tribute newsletters. He paid tribute to Chris Candido. I said, wow, that was awfully nice of you. You didn't have to do that. Gave it to me for free. So I raised about $3,500 on my own, and I gave Tammy 3 canceled checks. Well, 3 checks at the time. They were like within a week apart because I was raising money for a couple of weeks. And I think when Tammy did her first shoot interview, not too long after that, I think that event came up and she said, I didn't get no money from that event. Well, obviously everybody, because, you know, at that time, everybody's trying to find a reason to go after me also. Oh, really? You never gave her the money? So I took the canceled check at that time. I blacked out all my information and I showed just who it was made out to. And I showed the signature on the back of the check because everybody knows Tammy's signature because there's autographed photos all over the net. And when I showed that, and I even emailed her at that time, and that's why I will never say anything bad about Tammy. When I emailed her that time, like, Tammy, I mean, I heard, you know, people are saying to me that you said that you never got any money from that. I gave you over $3,000 of canceled checks. She says to me, oh my God, I didn't put you in that. I know you were involved with the show, but what you did was through your website, and no way, shape, or form am I saying that you were part of that. I don't remember what she did online, but she wrote, she says, let me make it clear. She said, Anthony DeBlasi had nothing to do with this. What he raised, he gave. And I was very, very nice of her. And for a couple of years after that, she sent me Christmas cards. I still have them. You know, not because I'm a hoarder, but, you know, it's just nice thing to do. But so this event was the first tribute for Chris Candido. The second annual Chris Candido Memorial Show is where I did the X-Lax stuff. And I stapled the contract to Louis' ass, which I know a lot of you have seen. But the year before, I was not a character yet on TV. I just worked strictly behind the scenes. So that night, you had Ian Rotten taking on CM Punk. Now, by now, I know most of you know Ian Rotten's history as being a hardcore wrestler. There's some controversy about him, you know, with his, was it IWA Mid-South? I know there's been some controversy with Ian Rotten over the years. CM Punk wrestled in Ian Rotten's promotion. And that night, I guess they decided they were going to have more of like a technical wrestling match in tribute to Chris Candido because Ian Rotten is a hardcore wrestler. Anybody remember the Taipei death match that Ian and Axel Rotten had in ECW in 1995? That's the same Ian Rotten. Unfortunately, the fans in UXW, which stands for, you know, Ultimate Extreme Wrestling or whatever, they didn't want a technical wrestling match. And the fans were not receptive to it at all. This match, if you watch it in its entirety, I wouldn't call it awful, but it's not very good. And I had no idea that Title Match Network bought the rights of RF Video's fan cams because RF Video recorded the event as well through their camcorder, but there's no commentary. So if any of you out there have ever watched this match on their network, there's no commentary, and it's only about 11 or 12 minutes long. And it's on YouTube now, and if you read the comments, what you see is, wow, pretty decent technical wrestling match. Never expect a technical wrestling match, but it, you know, not bad, not bad. That's because they butchered, they sliced and diced this match and edited out every little part of it that looked crap, that was boring. You take a boring, crappy match and trim half of it off and just show every bump, every fall, of course it's going to look a little bit better. I don't think people realize that on Title Match Network, they have tons and tons of matches that are butchered, that they will edit and edit and edit to make it look as beautiful as it possibly can because they want business. I understand that. What they also don't have is commentary because of all of RF Video's fan cams at that time. They never had commentary. They just recorded around ringside, and that was it. That's why they could still sell the ECW stuff, because the ECW was just from a camcorder. So they have the rights to that. So even though WWE owns the rights to ECW, the fan cams, RF Video could still sell. So anyway, because RF Video recorded it, they sold their rights to Title Match Network. I never sold no rights. I still have every right to air this match. Not only that, this match has commentary. If you are triggered by nasty words, you probably don't want to tune into this now. The commentary is pretty salty. You will see all of the Wrestlecrap. You'll see a nice tribute by Ian Rotten at the very end also. The sad thing about the Title Match Network stuff is you would have never known that that was the Chris Candido Memorial Show. That's the sad thing about it. All they talk about for the most part is how CM Punk had a WWE tryout a couple of days later. That night was a very, very special night. That was a week after Chris Candido died. And a lot of people on that show were extremely close with Chris. And there's literally little to no mention of that anywhere. So when you watch this, keep in mind that this is from that tribute show. So when you see the moon over Broadway, the bare ass, that's more of like a little tongue-in-cheek humor to Chris Candido. But unfortunately, this match is not very good. You want to see it now? Sit back, relax. I promise you, now remember the timeline. CM Punk, Summer of Punk, ultimately left Ring of Honor, went to WWE, tryout match, I think against Scotty too Hotty, ended up being signed, went to OVW, came up to the main roster in 2006. Had his debut match on ECW, WWE's ECW, I think, against Just Incredible, and the rest is history. So what you're going to watch is literally 3 days before his WWE tryout. I get a kick out of his entrance music as well. I had to edit that music out, though. There's enough in there that you'll know what it is. But I get a kick out of his entrance music every time I see this. But why don't you sit back, relax, and let's throw this up here. This is CM Punk versus Ian Rotten. First time ever seen online. And I have tons of matches that I'm going to be playing in the very near future. Very, 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 very cool shit that has never been online ever. And because I own the rights to half this stuff, I'm allowed to stream it. Just got to be careful about the music. Last week, you all loved Low-Key versus Sonjay Dutt. First one-on-one encounter that he ever had, ever. Well, now you're going to see this one. Last week, that match still holds up beautifully in 2021. This match, not so much. So, sit back and enjoy, everybody. Let's cue this up. Let's throw this chat room over here. And let's throw this video. Where are you? Oh, here you go. Enjoy.
Here comes Ian Rotten. Here comes the king of hardcore himself.
South too, brother. And Ian Rotten. Chicks dig scabs, but they don't chick rashes. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Wow. Anyway, he is going to be going one-on-one with another competitor. I'll tell you what about Ian Rotten. Ian Rotten is a wrestler that I've never seen before. Have you seen this man's forehead? Have you seen
his forehead looks like Valentina's pussy.
Wow! Sean the Mick telling it like it is. And you're only going to hear that right here in UFC.
I'm reading cue cards right now.
I guess they've been drawn up by, was that you, by you, Danny DeManto? Danny DeManto rejoining the broadcast booth. Hey, hold on just a second here, low-life Louie. I'll make you John to Josh Dealey again. Hold on, sit down. Let him get up here. Hold on. Which 4 seats? I'm going to share this microphone. Hold on, we got all low-light, wait a minute. Wait just a second. I'm sitting here. Hold on just 1 second, Danny DeManto. I'm sitting here, low-life Louie. I'm seeing Ian Rotten in the ring. Nobody knows that man more than you. What are CM Punk's chances in this contest?
See, that's what I came out here. I came out to extol the virtues not only of one Ian Rotten, but of a future legend in this business called CM Punk. Ian Rotten, 1988 King of the Death, 1997 King of the Death matches, 2000 King of the Death matches, 2-time 2001 and 2004 Mid-American Wrestling Hardcore Cup champion, a man who has wrestled all over the world, and he is an unbelievable hardcore wrestler. CM Punk has steered away from that, even though he's learned a lot from Ian Rotten in his days in the IWA. And CM Punk is one of the finest, not only technical wrestlers, but one of the soundest talkers in the world today.
I tell you what, Lowlife Lou, you've been doing your homework on these hardcore legends. Now, this is something different, though. This is hardcore meeting pro wrestling. What's going to come out on top? I want your answer, Lowlife Louie.
I want to tell you, this match right here is hard to call because for the people that don't know, Ian Rotten is one hell of an accomplished amateur wrestler, and he can grapple with anybody. I see this match going to the ground. I see very stiff shots. I think that in the end, Ian Rotten will prevail.
Unbelievable. Nobody knows these two men more than Lowlife Louie. Did you hear that? Lowlife Louie?
Gabe knows Punk pretty well.
Well, be that as it may.
I know better than Gabe than Carrie knows Gary.
This is unbelievable. I can't just...
That's just like Jim Kettner knows Andrew Riker.
This is getting out of control.
Let's not forget CM Punk.
Just like Ricky O knows sometimes Sean Sheridan. We're going to have a hell of a contest.
Look at CM Punk.
That one was for you.
My nose is mother. CM Punk looks like he's just from the guy right now. Let's get his black. You see the roots, the dirty roots. The tights that Tommy Dreamer told him to wear. If he wants a chance to get his string bean ass in the WWE.
Unbelievable. CM Punk.
I'm reading cue cards right now.
CM Punk, be that as it may, CM Punk, he's got his work cut out for him right now. Ian Rotten's got him in the corner. Fake ref and show laying in a 5 count. We have a joke in there as a ref. Ian Rotten backs off. He just backed off a 5 count. Did I see that with my own 2 eyes?
I already told you Ian Rotten is a great accomplished professional wrestler.
Oh, come on, I gotta cut you off right there, Lola. An accomplished wrestler. Look at the forehead on this man. He's more of a hardcore legend. We've never seen his wrestling here in the UXW.
That's because in the UXW, this is his debut, you idiot. He has never been here before.
Maybe he hasn't. Anyway, Sean the idiot. I've reffed a lot of people. I see guys come and go. Ian Rotten, look at this! Unbelievable! Unbelievable maneuver by Ian Rotten. Low like Louie, job well done.
Oh my God, and CM Punk got more than he can chew for right there. He's taking on the hardcore warrior, knows Ian Rotten.
I don't mean to sound gay or nothing, but CM Punk looking svelte, chiseled. His hair looks beautiful, not a hair out of place, and he's very tan. I love it.
That's what Gabe said.
Let's just move it along to call in this contest. Danny Demento, pick me a winner.
I say the winner of this match, CM Punk.
Unbelievable. You must know something.
The winner of the match is the one that either gets the 3 count or the submission on the other.
Oh, wow. Gee, mister.
I say the winner of the match is the fans. The fans of UXW.
I guess Danny Demento trying to sell some t-shirts. Wait a minute, we're getting a little...
I guess this match is gay because CM Punk half naked right now.
Unbelievable.
Hey, Ref Hansen.
Unbelievable. I cannot...
Hold my hair!
Complaining of a hit. Wait a minute, I'm getting a beat. God, I'm going to have to take off. I'm going to have to take off backstage. Something's going down. I'm going to have to get involved in this one. We got a big main event coming up. I'm going to have to, I hate to leave this superb match we're about to see, but I have things to do in the back. Danny Demento, can you cover for me?
I can.
You just said you wanted to cover me. I caught him in it. Something's going on here, Sean.
Ref Hansen has to leave the booth as he has to sell his tickets.
Hey, you talk about covering. You've been involved in more covers than I can account.
And you've been on the bottom of most of them. Hey-oh!
And well, I think we're talking to the World referees, speaking about covers and bed covers and all that. And Danny Demento, all big jokes and all that garbage aside, we're down to CM Punk, Ian Rotten, both show their respect here for Chris Candido, as they both want to spill blood, kick some ass.
This isn't about UXW. This isn't about IWA Mid-South. This isn't about Ring of Punk. This is about Chris Candido and them showing their respect for a man they both were friends with, partners.
Ian Rotten.
Big lockup.
Ian Rotten's
Full Nelson by CM Punk.
Look at Ian breaking the hold right there. He puts Punk in what do you call that? It's a big, what do you call it?
It is a big wrist lock by Ian Rotten, but a reverse.
It's another wrist lock by CM Punk. As Ian Rotten, what's this Poland knee pad right there as he pushes the leg down.
What is he doing? What is he going? Oh!
A little unorthodox style by
He's going for a fireman's carry takeover. Punk reverses. Big waistlock takedown by Ian Rotten. I don't think this is the spot Ian Rotten wants to be in right now. Punk, the accomplished wrestler.
Punk is definitely one of the best wrestlers.
Oh, big slap to the face by Ian Rotten.
I've been on the receiving end of Ian Rotten forearms, clotheslines, stiff uppercuts, and those vicious headbutts. Let me tell you, none of them are pretty. They all hurt like hell.
Punk can show you today why he's one of the best top indie wrestlers today. The guy is WWE bound, obviously, and he's showing why he's one of the top guys. If he takes this beating and he wins this match, CM Punk will be a come on legend here at UXW. Look at this, Ian Rotten. There's some version of
It's a version of the abdominal stretch, but they're on the floor. Innovative Ian Rotten showing that he can get down and wrestle with the time asked for.
You have to think there is going to be a little red substance called blood pouring from both these men's heads.
There's a very good chance of that happening, but with all the blood that's on this professional wrestling show so far, I don't see it going to that level. But you never know in UXW when you'll see a little extreme action.
Punk is trying those tough right legs. Punk looks a lot different than last time we saw the UXW. Wearing trunks, wearing boots, different color hair. Just looking different right here.
Big standing dropkick by CM Punk.
Punk is looking 10 times better than he used to look today, Demonta. He takes it to Ian Ryan, who has R.I.P. Chris on his left-hand team.
Ooh, big chop. Another big chop. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh.
It's not one to scare you.
Oh, big European uppercut. Legend.
Right.
I actually hold a pinfall victory over Ian Rotten. The date, April 7th, 2000. The place Bayonne. I made Ian Rotten my personal cushion as I pinned him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. After taking a beating, mind you, but I pinned Ian Rotten. That's all that matters. Very few of the men that have pinned Ian Rotten cleanly.
This match is Ian Ryan. This is us pumping more. The crowd is kind of quiet right now. Maybe because Gabe is not in the crowd pumping up his Kool-Aid monkeys.
Face bushes by Ian Rotten.
As Ian Rotten looks to attack him with
Ian takes the corner with his shoulder.
drilling in those right boots. And this, Demonta, this is UXW. When the fans don't get banned from their message boards, they write negative comments or positive comments.
The more beers that go into your body, the worse you are throughout this whole entire show, man.
And the more food that goes into your body, less chance.
I wish there was food going in my damn fucking body right now. I'm a little hungry.
Body, less chance you get signed by the EU, you fat pig.
Wow. Hey now. Look at Harry Slash over there talking to Barry Green Tea.
I'll get so much heat when this tape gets released.
Oh wow. I'm sure my voice is somehow going to turn into yours.
And CM Punk.
It was a humdinger of a match.
Was this a suplex by Punk? Getting the big Ian up there. I mean, I can't front, even though Punk is Gabe's boy. He is looking good as he does push-ups, shades of Lex Luger or some shit like that. And look at Ian Rotten eating another drop kick from CM Junk as he just drills him with that move right there.
I'm more interested in watching Mike Johnson rape Mary Kate over there in the corner because he looks like a little hobbit.
These bus trip marks who pay $70 to go watch a crappy wrestling show in Philadelphia. Demonta.
How many did 3PW draw today, Mick?
Anyway, back to this match where Ian Ryan saw us to see him Punk in the corner. Another arm drag. CM Punk used to be a nasty arm drag. And fans, yes, I am drunk and I am sick right now. My commentating might not be on par, but
is there a UXW after party today?
Yeah, the after party is at your mom's house, bitch.
Is she gonna have food for everybody?
You are so fucking fat. And CM Punk drops more right knees into the head of Ian Rotten. Twisting that arm back. CM Punk, as he goes on work. Ian Rotten is value something. He's got to show the sports instinct that he has. CM Punk lifting up Ian. This time in a mercy position. Kicks him. Will this match ever get bloody as the crowd is so quiet right now? CM Punk has to realize he's in UXW, not some crappy promotion that's all about honor and shaking hands and getting chlamydia. Look at this. This crowd is not popping for nothing. CM Punk and Ian Rotten need to get bloody. You need to get messy. This is what these wrestlers need to realize. And look at this. The ass spot. Shades of Chris Candido. And CM Punk shows his ass. A lot of indie women have seen that ass, as I've read on the message boards. And CM Punk going to the top, Shades of Candido again. Ian Rotten is going to toss him like Flair. Yes, he does toss him like Flair. CM Punk is a full moon over Bethpage right now. As Ian Rotten looks like he's sitting for, what is this? A torture rack. What is this going to turn into? Torture rack drops him. Punk is still ass out in this match as Ian Rotten goes to that corner. What's he set him up for? Dave DeMonte, you fat fucking pig slob. Yeah, I don't know. And look at this. CM Punk is eating those middle ropes. Ian Rotten sees the ass. Ass punch. Shades of Beef Wellington.
Yeah, but Ian Rotten actually thinks wrestling's real.
Beef Wellington thinks wrestling's a gimmick. And look at CM Punk just trying to be like Chris Candido right here with his ass hanging out. You gotta love CM Punk showing off for these UXW fans, showing what he's made of, and showing the ass that Gabe has looked at so many times. As Ian Rotten driving more headbutts right into CM Punk, and I don't care what message board Mark hears me curse and say all this stuff, because I'm just being funny and you know you want to laugh. And look at Ian Rotten, still with CM Punk with his tights down, when he's hiking him up. This could be a stump pile driver. This could be the pile driver. And do it already. Actually, that's even worse. I hope he wipes his ass or else his tires gonna be brown. And look at this, Ian Rotten. Go for that sleeper Punk. No. And Punk. Go right there, that arm bar right there. Puts Ian Rotten to sleep. He looks like he's ready to try to tap on Ian Rotten. Ian Rotten will not tap out this. I don't think so, Dave DeMonte. Ian Rotten will not ever tap out to this guy. And Punk is jaw-jacking with these hillbilly Bethpage fans. Shut up, you fat pig. As CM Punk is still breaking that left arm of Ian Rotten. He wants to. You know what's funny is that Ian Rotten is actually right-handed. Why is he working the left arm? Well, that's technical. Look at this. Oh! Shades of Cactus Jack with the power driver. Punk smartly and instinctively swings to where the ropes are to make the cover so Ian Rotten can have his feet in the ropes. As CM Punk puts another headlock on Ian Rotten. The guy who made famous in IWM and Saudi. It's a whole fake show. Lift up the arm for 3. That's the match.
Match of the night, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're the winner of the match.
Match of the year.
That shit might fly. That shit might fly with fans shake hands, but that shit don't fly in UXW. A pathetic ending to Ian Rotten. Dave DeMonte.
Match of the year. That was an awesome finish that the crowd was on their feet.
I just heard from JSWO and Shiranui of the Ring of Game message boards that was match of the year because he tapped him out with a fucking headlock. And I would rather hear Mr. Kiteri, but I saw my Afi in this fucking hillbilly garbage. And how did Ian Rotten lose the match when blood was not poured? I was expecting to see a bloody tampon in this match. We did not see it. I was expecting to see like how I did with your friend Joe.
Waka waka. Waka waka. Déjame quieto, hermano. Cante cabrón.
Joe killed my sex drive.
Anyway, CM Punk losing this big time. Actually, really, I'm so drunk right now. Beating Ian Rotten, I can't believe it. It's not.
I'm not gonna come on you, don't worry about it.
that one of the best wrestlers that ever graced any wrestling ring anywhere had passed away. And I thought the only thing I could do was go all across Europe every night that I stepped in the squared circle and tell the people what an incredible individual Chris Candido was. Because see, our wrestling business that I have scarred and maimed my body for, that I so dearly love, is short now one classic individual. Because see, I brought Chris Candido to IWA because it was a guy like him and guys like Tracy Smothers that could teach the young guys. And not only teach them, but Chris gave a damn that this business that each and every one of us loves goes on and gets better and better. And one of the biggest thrills that I got was I got to talk to the people in France and Germany just like I am to you right this very minute. And the coolest thing is, even though they didn't understand half the stuff I was saying to them, when I left the building and I walked out of the ringside area, in France and in Germany, there was an entire building full of people chanting Chris's name. Now, I know there ain't as many of you here that was at the beginning of this show, but let's stand up and make some noise and let Chris know in heaven above that he's loved and missed and always will be. And Candido's my amigo. I love you. Candido, 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 Candido.
All right. All right. Yeah. Now, if you go watch the censored version, you'll see that almost half the match is not even existent. And no commentary for obvious reasons. I don't think they were going to air that commentary. But I hope you enjoyed it. You know, a little something a little different. I had no idea that that version has been sitting online with hundreds of thousands of views. I figured you'd probably enjoy the uncensored, unedited. And yes, Darren, I knew it already. I accidentally misspelled uncensored. I have the correct one with the right spelling inside. I will have it online later on. So, but anyway, so that was your exclusive video for tonight. I have, I'm going to let you all decide. Scott Steiner, X-Pac. Oh, you know what? I have from the second Chris Candido Memorial Show, I think the New Age Outlaws. And at the time, this is actually an interesting one. That was a lot of fun. You know what? I think I'm going to air that one next week. At the time, Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg were working for TNA as a Voodoo Kin Mafia. And they worked the show for us. And they also did our video shoot interview, I think that night after the event, or it might have been the next day. I think it was that night. So Mick Foley, if I remember, was the special guest referee. And even though they were contractually obligated, no, you know what I think it was? I think it was Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer was there as well. Tommy Dreamer, who was working for WWE at the time also, what happened was nobody in the building wanted to call the Voodoo Kin Mafia the Voodoo Kin Mafia. They wanted to call them the New Age Outlaws. Problem is, they're TNA guys. WWE owns the rights to the New Age Outlaws. So that night, they did something where Tommy Dreamer, for one night only, gave Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg permission to be the New Age Outlaws. So you got them as the Voodoo Kin Mafia in TNA doing all the skits that they were doing. And that night they did the whole shtick with the New Age Outlaws, which was a little weird when you think about the friction that was going on at that. Why do you think they came up with the Voodoo Kin Mafia stuff and they were doing all the skits showing up at Stanford late at night? So, yeah, I think I'm going to, maybe we'll show that one next week. I want to give you one next week that you're going to say one of the most entertaining matches. So we'll see. Plus next week, we'll do a contest. We'll bring back live calls next week. But for the remaining part of the show, I am going to, let's do this. Actually, let's do this. I probably have to do a little bit of house cleaning as I fix this, but what I am going to do is I want to see if I can fix this chat. I don't know. Oh, maybe I can. Let's see. If I do this, scroll down here. Thank God I could still make changes tonight. That's not so bad, right? I guess we can fix this. Let's fix this. I think that's good enough, right? Yeah. Let's leave the chat room on the screen for the remainder of the show. And if any of you out there have any quick questions that you want me to answer, let's fly through them. The only thing I suggest, if you see somebody ask a question in the chat and I start answering it, hold off from posting your question because I don't want to skip it. So rest of the show, just going to hang out here. Yes, Charlie, that happened in Long Island, New York. Long Island, New York, May 21st, 2005. You know, I wonder if I could air some XPW stuff. Darren Gordon Hill, should Saudi be a Big Five pay-per-view? No. No. Too controversial. We don't know how long this relationship is going to continue. A lot of people still, you know, it's funny how Michael Cole's name was trending today on Twitter. And if you go click on Michael Cole's name and you look at majority of what was trending, it was all shots about WWE and Khashoggi, Saudi Arabia, things like that. Yet a lot of those same people were popping all night long for the matches. Now, I'm not trying to be selective outrage here, but if you are really upset with WWE working with Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince, why are you not upset at all the wrestlers that agree to be part of that? I'm just saying. Me, you know, I understand the business side of it. I don't agree with a lot of it. But if I start going after WWE about that, you know, I become very, very biased, selective outrage. You're either upset across the board or you're not upset at all. You can't pick and choose. So, no, I don't believe it should be one of the Big Five. Was Punk using the GTS at the time of that match with Ian Rotten? I'll be honest with you, dude. I remember seeing that match live, and it was late at night. I mean, the show was already on over 3 hours. So a lot of people had already left. It was extremely boring. The fans were not into it. You know, a lot of headlocks, a lot of arm bars, a lot of very boring stuff, to be honest with you. And if you go look at CM Punk stuff a month later, you know, or even a month before, his arsenal was a lot different. It just seemed like they just went through the motions that night. I mean, I don't blame Punk. That late at night, more than half the people had already gone home, you know, so they probably just couldn't get into it. But that match was extremely boring. And believe me when I tell you, getting CM Punk on an indie show in New York was not an easy thing to do if your name is not Gabe Sapolsky. So it was a big deal at the time. I have a crazy match Corporal Robinson versus Axel Rotten. In fact, I have, oh my God, I got to pull this out of the hard drive. I got to show it to you next week. I was very friendly with Axel Rotten as well. And they had a bloodbath. And after the bloodbath was over, I was in the back and Axel Rotten used the room that I was in also. And Corporal Robinson came in and they're like, man, awesome match. And they were bloody. And I had my camera out. And I said, you know, can I snap a picture? You got to see the 2 pictures that I took. I mean, really, really fucking cool shots. I never put it online. I always kept it for my own personal, you know, memories. But that is a sick match. That is a sick match. Favorite and least favorite King of the Ring. You know, I don't have any particular years, but, you know, as far as matches go, Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle is something that's at the top of my list. I watched that match when it first happened, and I watched it over and over and over again. I have gone out of my way and watched it, you know, every couple of years. To me, that's I don't have, I mean, if you really are like pushing me, King Mabel was awful. I remember all of my friends at that time were like, why? Why do that? I mean, it just was not very good. I enjoyed it when Magnificent Morocco won the first one. Magnificent Morocco is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, top 5. So King of the Ring usually was very good. You know, Mabel, you know, not so much. I mean, there's been some others. I hated the King Corbin stuff. Thought it was awful. So King Booker, that's a good one too. I'm trying to remember if Booker ever did any of our shows. If he's on one of those shows, I got to put it on. I don't recall King Booker being on any of those shows. I don't think he was. X-Pac versus Billy Gunn was bad. Yeah, look. Some matches were bad. I mean, there's always going to be bad matches. But, you know, King of the Ring, though, overall, it's usually a good quality tournament. This year was just more about pleasing the Saudi prince. I was the Crowdy prince. Darren likes King Corbin. Look, Corbin has definitely grown on me a little bit. Corbin is definitely a far cry from the lone wolf shit. So he's still a knight of the lone wolf. Yeah. No cheap shots in here. Everyone should get along. That's what this channel is all about. No hate and clickbait. You know, Brock versus RVD was a lot of fun. Absolutely, man. I tell you, I want to go back and watch. I don't know about tonight because I'm exhausted and I'm bird sitting. So I'm shocked that the bird went to sleep as early as he did tonight. But you know what that means? He'll be up at 5:30, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. What my bird does, and maybe I could put the security camera footage because I do have a camera in that room so I can monitor him like in the middle of the night without me having to get up. But there's a little bell. I have 2 of them. And when he gets up early in the morning and I'm still sleeping, what he will do is just very lightly tap the bell a couple of times, and that's his way of letting me know that he's awake. It's actually pretty cool if I showed you the footage. So Dream thinks that Xavier Woods should have lost. Why? Who needed that win more? Finn Balor or Xavier Woods? Seriously. You look at the history of the New Day, Xavier Woods is missing some big individual accomplishments. You know, you ever hear the 3 words, you deserve it? We've heard it in AEW. We've heard it in WWE. We've heard it in every promotion. Why do people chant, you deserve it? Because they feel that someone has worked hard enough that they deserve whatever they get. A title, pretty much. That's usually when it's chanted. So why, for a tournament that is more for the show and the substance of Saudi Arabia, selling point. Why does Xavier Woods not deserve it? Why? Because other people said that? Important people said that? I mean, if you feel that way, I totally respect it. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that every single person out there should have supported Xavier Woods. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to say to me that he doesn't deserve it, tell me why. Tell me why, and you know what the one thing people keep saying to me? Because Finn is lost to Reigns, fell off the top rope, and Finn, they need to give him a little momentum. For what? You think he's feuding with Big E? No. For what? I think Xavier Woods, there's no reason why Xavier Woods was not worthy of that championship. Why does he deserve it? Because Xavier Woods has been one of the most consistent wrestlers on that roster that's been improving and working his ass off to get better. And yes, they've been a multi-time tag team champion, but every time they need to go to something with the Usos and the New Day and this and that, the guy has been working hard and giving the fans entertainment. Crowd freaking loves him, works his ass off in the ring, has become one of the better talented stars on that roster, and has very little individual accomplishments. You look at Kofi Kingston's individual accomplishments over the years. You look at Big E, who is now starting to break out even further as the heavyweight champion. And when does Xavier Woods deserve it? When he's 45 years old? And, he could go out, with a bang. Why doesn't he deserve it? He's done a boatload in the last couple of years and has very few individual accomplishments. This is an individual accomplishment. Xavier Woods has earned to get some individual accomplishments. That's why I believe he deserved to win. I agree, Larry. Xavier will likely never be a main eventer unless something dramatic changes in his character. Why does this King of the Ring tournament equal main event? Because I agree with you. Finn definitely still has main event credibility. But let's also remember, everybody, look at the King of the Ring winners over the years. Most of them were not on the level of a heavyweight champion yet. As years went by, it kind of changed a little bit. But look at the King of the Ring winners from the 80s and the 90s, especially the 90s and the 2000s. You don't give it to the top of the line major stars. You try to make it as a little boost, a little momentum. Don't overhype what this King of the Ring tournament was. But to say that Xavier doesn't deserve it, I think that's a little much. You got to tell me why. Sell me. I gave you my reasons why I feel that he does. Don't tell me he doesn't deserve it because Finn does. That doesn't make sense. Tell me why Xavier does not deserve it. Leave Finn Balor out of that for a minute. Why does Xavier Woods deserve it? Why doesn't he deserve it? Let's see. One fall is calling it a night. Have a good night, my friend. Have a great weekend. Again, you got to do a Google search and look at the history of the King of the Ring winners and look at the time, the years, and you'll start to see a pattern. That's why Billy Gunn won it. That's why some won it, because a little jolt to maybe, get a little bit more of individual run. I don't care if people quit because of people chanting you deserve it, breaking kayfabe. I appreciate the super chat, Darren. It's not all out fake. It's not. I mean, it's an accolade. Look at the Hall of Fame. Why do we celebrate Hall of Fame statistics? Or when someone gets put in, they run down. If you want to go that route, then why do we give a shit that Ric Flair is a 16-time heavyweight champion? Why do we acknowledge all the accolades when they're now gone? I mean, why do you care about Owen Hart's Slammies? You know, they're all just entertainment, you know, so fans chanting "you deserve it" is just as real as the titles that these wrestlers carry, the Slammies that they win, the accolades that they're given, the ranks that they're given. It's all about accomplishment. And let me tell you something. These wrestlers, when they get into the business, a lot of them fantasize to one day become heavyweight champion. Some are realistic and no, I have no shot of becoming heavyweight champion. So maybe IC champion, maybe king of the ring, maybe something else. You know, everybody has goals. So I think people are making the King of the Ring tournament a little bit too important. Does it return next year? Maybe. I don't see why not. Xavier Woods was not awarded a title, was not awarded King of the Ring. Triple H 2002, Eric Bischoff handed him the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what the definition of awarded is. Xavier Woods was in the ring, pinned Finn Balor. A referee counted 1, 2, 3. He won King of the Ring. He wasn't awarded King of the Ring. Awarded King of the Ring means that he did not have a match. He did not pin anybody. They just gave it to him anyway. Look at Asuka. Asuka won Money in the Bank. She didn't win the women's championship. She wasn't winning the title that night. But because of Becky's pregnancy, oh, Asuka, look, you didn't know, but inside the briefcase, you also won the title. You know, technically, Asuka didn't defeat anybody for that championship. She thought she was winning the opportunity to get a match against Becky Lynch. Asuka didn't pin anybody to win the belt. So you want to play that game? Asuka was awarded it. Asuka got awarded the championship. Yeah, Darren, somebody deserves it. Remember, Darren, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but Roman Reigns to Brock Lesnar, RK Bro to AJ Styles and Omos, Edge to Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch to Sasha Banks. Breaking news. None of those pins are real. So when you turn around and you say the comment that you made, he deserves it. When someone gets a victory, that is AEW creative saying this person deserves a victory. They're going to get a victory. Hangman Page deserves an opportunity for the title. Hangman Page deserves the opportunity to win, you know, that ladder match. Whether you pin someone, grab a briefcase, whatever it is, you are being awarded something. Until the pin and submission is 100% real and not predetermined, you are awarded something. Am I wrong? Hey, I tell you, I'm a little surprised. I totally respect all of you out there. I'm a little surprised at the level of discontent at Xavier Woods winning King of the Ring. I tell you, I'm a little surprised. I'm not complaining. I'm not the one that won it, you know, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't. I mean, if you want to complain, you know, complain about Zelina Vega winning the Queen's crown. I mean, don't you think that might be a little bit more in the kind of like undeserving department? Now, that is someone that you could debate if she deserved it or not. Oh, well, she got released and she went through trauma and she had to go through this and she grabbed and clawed and, oh, Bearcat Lee is the one that claws, but, you know, there would be strong debate to say that about Zelina Vega. Sam says Saudi Arabia 22 2022, the greatest Royal Rumble or Super Showdown. That's the next one over there. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it really depends on whatever they want to call it. I don't know if we get the greatest Royal Rumble next year, because it seems that the Saudi prince in WWE, one of the attracting selling points is first ever, or the return of something. The first this, the first that, the first this. I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with something new for the first time ever, or something else that's the greatest ever, the greatest elimination chamber ever. So don't be surprised if some of these, gimmicks that they've done that was the first or the greatest is not revisited, because how you could have the greatest Royal Rumble after you had the greatest Royal Rumble? See what I mean? Anything after that is second best. What are you going to call it? The greatest Royal Rumble ever. Mike, there is rumors that Braun Strowman has talked to AEW. Don't know anything more than that. Don't know how he would be used in AEW. Don't know where he would fit in. I don't know. I think Braun Strowman ultimately goes back to WWE. I think Bray Wyatt sooner or later, and sure, if you say it long enough, you'll probably be right. But I think even if Bray Wyatt has a couple of months, 6 months, a year in a different promotion or a couple of different promotions, I think ultimately before 2022, before 2023, I think he's back in WWE. He's more of a character than anything else. And yes, he can reinvent himself and probably do a damn good job of it. But Braun Strowman, I just don't see him fitting in AEW. I mean, he's in phenomenal shape. And I don't buy that WWE just felt that he's not in great condition and this and that, because he actually was not bad. They just started doing dumb shit with the choo-choo train and stuff like that. But I still think Braun Strowman ends up in WWE. He could go to Impact for 6 months, 9 months, get a little break, this and that. But I think ultimately Braun Strowman, I think by 2023, Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt will be back in WWE. He could show up at Impact. Again, fuck this Forbidden Door stuff, everybody. It's just simply that these wrestlers, the contracts that they sign, they're allowed to do other things because the contracts are cheaper. When you're allowed to do a lot of other outside ventures, they let you do that so they don't have to pay you to replace that. That's why WWE, when they say you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, WWE compensates you what they feel makes up for that. Look at Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega is no longer streaming. So whatever deal that she made with WWE, money-wise, she feels that it's worth it. So same thing with these contracts you see in Impact and AEW. Notice how nobody ever talks about the contracts. Because once people realize the amount of money some of these contracts are, it's almost humorous. But the only reason why I don't expose more of that is because that's the business decision of the wrestlers. And when socializing and playing video games and hanging out with people online and going on Twitch and this, when that really does a lot for your mental health, sometimes you don't put a price on mental health. You know what I mean? So even if some of these wrestlers take a big pay cut, but they're happier being able to do the things that they like to do. To me, I think anybody out there would say, I'd rather take a little less money and have a ball and just be happy than to have more money and be miserable. So that's why I don't really get deep into it. But make no mistake about it, these contracts that a lot of these wrestlers are offered is a lot less than WWE. Oh, yeah. I could see Impact signing Braun to a per appearance deal or for. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the Iconics. Inspiration. You know, I want to see how Billy Kay has improved. To me, it just never clicked in WWE. But I keep an open mind. You know, I've seen wrestlers who go 5-10 years into their career and still don't put it together. And then something happens and it clicks. So I'm not saying that Billy Kay is going to become one of the better technical female wrestlers out there, but I'm willing to give her a shot. Let's see what she does. Let's see what she does. Yeah, a lot of you out there talking about inspiration too. Shout out to Michael Gonzalez. He says you got to check out Dune. It's one incredible movie. Maybe I'll browse and see. I'll be spending the weekend with my fiance, so I'll suggest it. We have not gone to a movie in a very long time. I think the last time we went to the movies was like something with Lord of the Rings or so, or The Hobbit. No, it was one of the Hobbit movies. For real. One of the Hobbit movies. Any thoughts on Eric Bischoff burying Tony Khan? Well, first of all, Mish and I had a long conversation Monday about Tony Khan, and I played for everybody on Monday that don't normally tune in on Thursdays. I played the sermon that I did in 2010, Dixie Carter, David and Goliath. And one thing that came out of that, people realize now that Tony Khan is a hell of a lot more than like Dixie Carter than he is Eric Bischoff. But we did mention what Eric Bischoff said Monday, that Tony Khan should shut up. And Tony Khan is not going head-to-head with WWE. Until he goes on Monday night or Friday night from 8 to 10, it's not a war. And, Tony Khan throwing a little shade to Eric Bischoff's way. You know what the impression I'm getting of Tony Khan? And believe me, there's only going to be 2 or 3 sentences. I'm getting the impression that he is one of these people that when someone of name value, of recognition, especially in pro wrestling, criticizes him, he's got to be the child that always has to get the last word. Eric Bischoff, I thought, was very respectful in what he said. If you get triggered simply because Eric says, shut the fuck up, he's not burying Tony Khan. He's just telling him, in his opinion, what his mistakes are. And Tony Khan, all his comeback is what some child would do on a message board in 1999. Oh, this is Eric Bischoff, the guy that, kept Jericho and Eddie Guerrero so happy that they couldn't get out of there fast enough. That is, seriously, that is just stupid on Tony Khan's part. You're the fucking NWO at that time. Yes, it was oversaturated, but when you look, there's going to be people that are going to ultimately leave AEW because they feel that everything is about the clique, the elite clique and this and that, and they can't get opportunities unless you're a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend. You don't get opportunity. It's going to happen sooner or later. There's obviously preferential treatment there. You see some people have no business being on Dynamite and they get opportunities, so him turning around and say, oh, Jericho and Eddie Guerrero couldn't run out of your company fast enough. Is that the best you could do? There's always somebody that's not going to be happy in the employment they work in. I compare it to Amazon. And I know some people in the business watch some of the things I say. I'm not saying it to be cocky, but, I do get DMs once in a while from people. Hey, man, keep up the good work, what you're doing. Never hold back and always be yourself. And by the way, don't name drop me because I don't want to get bullshit from people. I lurk. That's what I usually get from people. Just lurking. But Amazon. I'm going to compare it to Amazon. And I brought this up before. You go on YouTube and type in, I worked for Amazon. Just type that in. Look at the videos that come up. And I brought up one in particular about 3 months ago. The guy that got like 1 million views on Amazon. The reason why I quit Amazon after 2 weeks, 1 million views. Go watch it for yourself. I watched this guy, and he's talking about how, he's got a wife and he's got a kid, and he agreed to work the graveyard shift because it was more money, and this is that, and blah, 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 blah. Fine. Okay. He's working the graveyard shift. That means he's working nights. That's what he agreed to do. That's the job he signed up for. He starts running down all these complaints. I got to wear a mask. Even when there's not people around, I got to wear a mask. I got to put products in the bin, and these robots come by, and sometimes the size of the bin is not the right size. They hired me. I'm supposed to work from 10 p.m. to 10 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. And now all of a sudden they're telling me I can't work 10 to 5:30. I'm working from 10:30 to 6 a.m. Now when I go home, I can't even spend time with my wife and my kids because they're waking up and I'm going to sleep. For about 30 minutes, this prima donna little bitch complained about every fucking little thing other than Amazon treating him like shit. There's nobody around. I can't even use my AirPods. I feel lonely. Everything is boxed off and I'm all by myself. You poor little bastard. There's always going to be people that are not going to be happy in the jobs that they work with. That doesn't mean the employer is an asshole. It doesn't mean the employer is irresponsible. And for Tony Khan to do that, that's just like child shit. You know what that's the equivalent of? You tell one of us in the podcasting world spits out truth bombs about someone and really nails it to him. And the person is famous. And the only comeback they have is, who are you? Who are you? Like, that's supposed to offend me. Who are you? And I've had some confrontations over the years. And the first word someone will be like, I'm sorry, who are you? Like, that doesn't offend me. Like, that's the only comeback. That's what it sounds like. Tony Khan just sounds like a message board child that has to get the last word. Instead of accepting the criticism and disagreeing with it, no, he's got to take low blows also. That just sounds like someone with some very thin skin. And look, he's a millionaire. And the guy works hard too. And the guy wants his product to succeed. And I admire that. And Tony Khan is not a stupid man. But there's some personality traits that, of course, people in his company would never dare say to him. It's like when I had that issue years ago with Bully Ray. That's long squashed a long time ago. But, you know, when he confronted me and said, show up on the show, in the ring, middle of the ring, you know, I'll go on your show too. And the first thing I said to him privately, I'm like, look, if I start asking questions, specific things, there's no way you're going to answer them, because why would anybody in their right mind go against their employer? And it was right. I mean, I would not want anybody who works for AEW to go against their employers, even if they understand that, you know, they feel something against. You know, you're working, you're making money, you're getting an opportunity. And it's not going to be cake and ice cream all the time. But to throw the Jericho Eddie Guerrero thing out there, I thought was stupid, to be honest with you. Eric Bischoff did not bury Tony Khan, and Tony Khan did not bury Eric Bischoff either. Let's see. We're going to wrap this up very, very soon, everyone. I think we're going to wrap it up in about 10 minutes. So Fly worked for Amazon for 4 years. It's crazy. Look, I heard they pay nice. If I had time because I'm trying to put money together for my wedding, and it's really freaking hard right now. I thought about, trying to get a job delivering Amazon stuff. I just don't have the time to do it. But I think we'll end up just fine. So, Headlock Heel worked in food service, did 80-hour work weeks, and I believe that. He did that for several months, still saw his family. Yeah, if you want to make the time, you do. I mean, the funny thing is, you're working a night shift. Whether you go home at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, half an hour is not going to make a difference. So if you go to sleep by 7, or guess what, Mr. Disgruntled Amazon former worker, you go home at 6 o'clock instead of 5:30. Even if you get home at 7, guess what? You have breakfast with your wife, your kid, you stay up for an hour or two. Now it's 9 a.m. Honey, I'm going to go to bed. And then you get up at maybe like 5, 6 o'clock at night. Guess what? Your kid is still up. Your wife is home. You could spend 2-3 hours with them, and then you get ready, you go to work. This guy made it seem like they ripped his family away from him. What the fuck did you work the night shift for in the first place? So, seriously. And the sad thing about it is, because of the age that we live in, there are tons of people that feel for that guy. Brother, I feel for you. Brother, I went through that too. Oh my God, Amazon. Yeah. Oh God, don't remind me. Nightmare. Oh, poor baby. I'm lonely. Gregory right now is very unhappy in his job. Did I ever work in a job that I truly hated going to? Yeah, I kind of hate my insurance work right now, because everything has been so automated, where you could go online and pay your own shit, add your own vehicles, print your own ID cards, that it's getting very difficult to compete with a lot of these big name companies out there. Plus, with the prices of everything going up, the insurance companies' prices are going up. And almost every couple of days, I get customer calling me up, pissed off, yelling, screaming, complaining. Why did my insurance go up? Why did this go up? Find me another company. I've had people it's not easy, man. It's not easy. And then we had this Ida storm not too long ago, and one of my customers had a vehicle that went underwater, and the insurance company's like deducting $2,000 from the overall total loss, because they're claiming that the car had existing damage already. And, everybody is like, come on, there's a dent in the back. Something could have drifted into the car while it was underwater and shit like that. And they're giving so many people such hard times. I don't have fun in insurance like I used to. Sometimes I get there in the morning and there's like 4 or 5 customers waiting at the door and asking me for every stupid little thing. And especially when they try to put in claims with the state or the government and they don't get answers, they come to me. I don't mind helping. But when they still don't get the answers, they complain to me. I'm like, as if I work for the government. So insurance right now is not fun. This is fun. But obviously, this would not support, my bills and my, house. This is more of a hobby than anything else. But, and this is my release, without a doubt. The insurance business right now is very, very rough. I'm going to try to stick it out. So, you ever think about working Uber for some cash? I thought about it. The problem is, I got that messed up hip from my car accident. And, I sit up for long periods of time. You really start to feel it. And, you work for Uber. Sure, you could kind of set your hours and everything like that. But I get sometimes some really bad days. And, I don't know how that would work out. I mean, when I was a lot younger, I always thought about work and driving a cab. And I always worry, somebody might try to rob you and stuff like that. But, I don't know how the Uber thing would work out. But doing this full time one day, I don't know. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, I see others out there that are doing it full time and doing a pretty damn good job with it. The problem is, just like the YouTube crash of several years ago, when all the ad revenue just went away, whatever little it is left, that eventually could go away too. And, you know, listen, some of those shows out there, they get like 20, 30,000 views an episode. Other than Super Chats, believe me when I tell you, I'm not lying when I say they might get $7 revenue, $12 revenue, $15 revenue. I mean, you do a 2, 3 hour, 4 hour show and you get tens of thousands of views. And then you look at the commercial revenue that streams and then you see $16. You know, who wants to, whether you like it or not, who wants to work for 3 hours for $16, you know? Now, I will say this. Today, I was supposed to have a meeting, as some of you already know. It got pushed back to tomorrow at 12:30. So, fingers crossed. I don't want to give too much away. I know the person heard the show on Monday, and he heard me tease it at the very end. But for those that don't know, you know, I've always said that hard work pays off. And people aren't stupid. They could see when you're working hard, but they could also see when people just wing it just to feel relevant or try to keep their name out there, but never do their own work. They need everybody else to do everything for them. But when you see people that work really hard, there's usually people watching. You may not know it, but really, there are people watching. If you've noticed, and I'm not going to name any names right now, but there's a couple of podcasters very recently who have inked jobs for wrestling companies, for networks, and, you know, I applaud them. I applaud them. And, you know, obviously with that success comes hate. And yes, a lot of people are hating on them as well. But hard work truly does pay off. And usually there's someone always watching. Even if you have a very small viewership, if you are reliable, consistent, putting out, you know, a certain type of product, somebody may take notice sooner or later. And long story short, I was approached last week by a network. I don't want to say what network it is, but I'll use an example like CBS, you know, like one of those streaming networks. And this network is a legit network. And the person who runs like a big part of it reached out to me and said, look, I've been following you for a few years now, and I'm a big fan of your work. And I'm just curious, do you work for any network? And I told them, you know, we splice in advertisements for the audio side of everything. And I had an app back in the day, but no, I'm not working for any network. And he said, would you like to join our network? So I went and I checked it out, and there's about 100 shows on it. I don't think there's any wrestling. There might be one or two. Well, no, I take that back. There's like 2 or 3. But as far as non-professionals, I think there might be 1. But I noticed one of the podcasts is someone that is featured on WWE all the time. All the time. And you see like a lot of legit shows on there. And, you know, tomorrow I'm having a conference call, and we're going to talk about it, see what is offered, see what, you know, they want. Do they want all the shows? Is there a particular show during the week that I do that they're interested in? But I'm not saying that anything is changing here, but, you know, I might be affiliated with that network. So I would still do everything the way I would do, but I would be attached to a network. So it's like that network that has like the Steve Austin show. If you remember that network that got like a lot of wrestling podcasts, they got Jericho's, not many years ago. Someone out in the chat, do you remember what network that was? But it's pretty much the same thing. So, I'm curious to see what's involved. I'm not going to do it just for, bragging rights. I mean, if this is something that could lead to some decent revenue, if I have to amp it up a notch, if I podcast one, okay, yeah, that's it. It's like podcast one. Very, very similar to podcast one, but it's a legit network. So the meeting is tomorrow, and I'm going to just see what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen? Hey, let me think about it. Hey, I thought about it, but, right now I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. That's it. Roger Rubio, what's up, my friend? You'll get the double shout out. You see this super chat on the right and in the middle. Just got off of work. Catch it on the download. I know it's a little off center. That's because of the template I'm using right now. But he says, make sure for me to tell Mish Edge Rollins was awesome. I absolutely will. Because I know that match, he was looking forward to the least. But something tells me that he was extremely satisfied in that match. That was my favorite match tonight. Edge Rollins was off the hook. And no, everyone, I will not start using the word lit all the time. I don't know how that got into my vocabulary the last day or so, but I kept saying earlier how the Saudi fans tonight, they were lit all night long. They were lit. They were lit. I don't remember any time in my life that anything was lit other than a match. Oh, honey, that restaurant, man, that was lit. Yo, did you see that movie? That shit was lit. I don't talk like lit as fuck. I don't ever talk like that. Lit. Thank you, Larry, for the kind words. He gets distracted by cashews. I had peanut butter right before we went live. I had almond butter. I made like an almond butter and fake jelly sandwich because I'm on keto. Literally I drank, while the show was on, I drank almost this entire bottle. It just kept sticking to the top of my mouth. And the one thing, I've said this before, if you ever decide to do podcasts, whether it's audio or video or both, never have anything that would cause saliva in your mouth, and never have like peanut butter, never have dairy stuff. Never have dairy right before you go live. I made that mistake back in the day a few times, especially after I went to video. And I remember doing a show at Mish, and I kept going, or he kept hearing me in the background. I'm obviously exaggerating it now. And he looked at me, he's like, you're on the video, he's like, you're all right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you had dairy or chocolate before you went live, did you? I'm like, yeah, I had some ice cream. He says, I could tell, because it creates phlegm in your throat when you talk and your vocal cords, vibrate. Not a good thing. Never have dairy, within like 2 hours of doing a show. So, I was noticing some random thing tonight. I noticed I've been doing this. I'm approaching my 25th year of doing this. Now, I really can't include from 97 to 02, because we would record the hotline, and once we finished recording, it was immediately available publicly for everybody. But from 02, when we started doing everything live, to now, I realized it a couple of days ago. I can't remember ever having to stop what I'm doing and get up to take a leak. I think one time we did a show and I had the runs, and I think it was video too. And I remember I felt it, and I was like, there's no way I'm taking a dump in my pants while I'm doing the show and no sell it. And I remember like, all right, everybody, we got to go. Hope everybody has a great night. Yeah, everybody have a great weekend. Bye. And I literally went off the air in 10 seconds. I didn't even say goodnight to everybody. I literally clicked the thing and ran to the bathroom and just let it loose. I think that, but seriously, no joke. In all of these years doing this live, I don't recall ever once, not once, ever saying, even when I did the shows with other hosts, I don't remember ever saying, guys, talk for me. I got to go do something for a second or take a leak. I honestly don't ever recall that. Do any of you? I honestly can't. I don't know why I thought about it. I think the other day I was taking a leak, and it was right before we were doing the show. And I said to myself, I said, wow, I can't remember ever having to like interrupt the show to go to the bathroom. I know there's a lot of shows out there that have intermission, and they'll put like an intermission screen up for like 2 or 3 minutes. And they'll go, they'll skid up, they'll stretch, take a leak, get something to drink. But I don't recall ever getting up and taking a leak during the show. Like, I've had to go and I've held it in, but I don't recall ever a time where I had to go so much that I had to like, guys, I'll be right back and go pee. No, I do remember that night with the video. So I like this mug. It's the same mug as yesterday. I do wash my mug every day, so it's not dirty from yesterday. Oh, we were going to open this up. I didn't want to do it yesterday because doing predictions for the Saudi show and cutting a head open. Seriously. I thought about it. I'm like, oh no. Even though it's like a beanbag. Oh no. All right. You guys choose which one we should operate on. These back in the day were called head bashers. Head bashers. And there is a plastic thing in here. I don't know if, let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah. There's a plastic thing in here. Hear that? And back in the day, if you bashed the head, it was supposed to go, ow, ow. Does it have the phrases on here? It says, try me, bash me for sound and sayings. So this is supposed to say quotes. Now, remember, this is WCW, so it's not going to say, ow, my hamstring. So they don't work, obviously. What I want to do is I want to cut it open, and I want to pull out the device and see if it's something that we could change the batteries. And if we could change the batteries, I'll change the battery. I'll put it back in the thing. Now, I don't sew. I never learned how to sew, and I'm not going to learn how to sew. But I probably would just staple it closed. You know? So which one do we open? Because they're still new, and they still got the labels on them. So should we open up Lex? Because remember, which one we open, we could change the batteries, that's the one where we're going to bash its head in. So which one should we do? Yeah, my quad. They should have came out with a WWE one. My quad. So which one? The Luger. Everybody wants me to cut Luger's head open. All right, let's cut. I wasn't planning on doing this right now, but you know, before we go, let's just do it. So I'm going to cut it from the seam. You know, we don't want to screw up the nose. Look at this freaking nose, man. There's schnozola on here. So let me, well, you know what? This thing is not going to be worth it. You know, I'll try to keep the tag on it. We'll try to keep the tag. But I'm going to just cut a little slit. Let's see. Hopefully I don't cut my hand. I'm not very good with razor blades, by the way. All right, this is not as easy as you think because it's hemmed really, really strong. Let me just try to. Oh wait, yes, we have violated the head. I see foam. I see stuffing. It's like Alexa Bliss. The Lily's head. So we have violated it. Let me cut it open a little bit bigger. Right now, it's like, oh, no, I'm going to say that. All right. Now we've cut the slit much deeper. So I'm fingering Lex Luger's head. We're going in, everybody. I feel nothing but foam. There's like little balls, like plastic balls in here. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove the stuffing. But you know what? If you've looked at Lex Luger's head lately, you know, his head is a lot smaller than what it used to be. So we'll probably be a little bit more lifelike. We could always shove the foam back in. So we're removing the foam. Oh my God, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. It's like cut in there too. It's like wearing a pair of underwear. Look, it's sewed inside also. It's like the testicles. It's like inside a pair of underwear. That was the worst, man. When you got to third base when you were a kid and you open up the pants and then you realize that the underwears underneath don't have any easy entryway and the person doesn't want to seem to like move and you can't like pull it off and you just like. Anyway, we're going to have to penetrate this too. We're going to have to violate this. We're going to have to cut this open also. Why would you do that twice? You know, those little balls are okay, I think we got it now. All right. So I violated the inside, the underwear. So we got, oh, there's little plastic balls. Oh, look at that. You see that? Oh, man. There we go. Now the only thing is there a screwdriver? Yeah. This kind of looks like Lex's head now, right? It does. So, all right. Now, unfortunately, I don't see, there's no screw anywhere. They do not have a screw. There is no screw whatsoever. I think, yeah, this is like plastic. I think we would have to try to pop this off. I don't know, everyone. I don't think this is going to work. I got a screwdriver. Let's see if we could pop it off. Oh, I think we can. Hold on. This is, if it's got a battery. Oh, wait. I think we got it. No, almost. We got half of it. And I'm sorry for my audio only friends out there. Okay, we've gotten in. We're in. Oh, this is going to be, look at that. 3 batteries. 3 batteries. Do I have any batteries handy? I don't have any. I thought I did. I don't see any batteries here. I don't have any batteries handy. But what I will do, if you look closely, you could see this is the speaker. That is the little, computer board, and there's 3 batteries. Luckily, the batteries have not leaked in any way. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'll see if I have these batteries. If I don't have this size, I'll order them from Amazon, get it delivered over the weekend. And if the thing works, we'll shove it back in the head and we'll bash it. We'll bash it on Monday. We'll see. It doesn't say what it says. And I checked YouTube. Nobody had one of these. I mean, they obviously didn't sell well back in the day, but, we'll bash it. We'll see what it says. You know what we'll do? We'll like poke it in the head. Not there, in my ass. The side of my ass. People know why I said that. So, all right. So, hey, at least it's still connected. We'll change the batteries and we'll see if this thing works. 3 batteries. Oh, not bad. Interesting that there's no screws. It's just snapped. It's just snapped on. So, and if this works, then we'll do the Kevin Nash one too. So, is that what it's called? Lobotomy? 50-50 booking. Yeah. Where's Crowbar when you need him? Crowbar is awesome, man. We're so happy to see him on AEW last week. That was so cool. And to see how much it meant to him, even though it was just dark, The guy is a licensed chiropractor and a damn good one to boot. I first met him in 2002 at that Chiller convention. Got to hang out with him at a bar. Had a couple of drinks. So well-spoken, so polite, so nice. You would never think it's the crowbar that was portrayed in WCW. Freaking guy is a really, really good guy. And to see him, how happy he was, and the Blue Meanie, the dark match on AEW, it may not seem too big of a deal to us, but for those guys who have been doing it all their lives, to get a little appreciation once in a while, that is awesome, man. That is awesome. I was so happy for him when I saw that, really happy for him. So anyway, yeah, I think that's it, everybody. Let's call it. We're about 2 hours, 25 minutes in. An hour less than last week. If you remember, we went 3.5. But loved chatting with all of you tonight, as always. I'll be back here Saturday night. Now, the plan Saturday, 10:05, not 8 o'clock, but 10:05 since Dynamite is on. So at 10:05, we'll talk a little Dynamite. We'll talk a little SmackDown. Anything news-wise that transpires between now and Saturday night. And, I'm now going to make a concerted effort to get into the recaps a lot shorter. Because the majority of you out there, when we talk about these shows, you have watched them too. So I don't need to bring up every little aspect of every little thing. We just do the overall opinion on what we saw. What that will do is it'll open up the opportunity to take calls. And, that the only reason why we've pulled away from it for a week is because the shows have been so long, even without the calls. So I really want to put those in there. So Saturday night, that's the plan. SmackDown, Rampage, little Rampage 2, Dynamite, any news that breaks, and live calls. So if you're around Saturday night and you're not doing anything, join me here. And tomorrow I'll see who won the predictions contest. Monday, Mish and I will talk about Raw. We're also going to do predictions for Halloween Havoc on Monday. Now, Halloween Havoc is only a handful of matches. And honestly, there's no reason to spend 6 minutes on each one like we did yesterday with Crown Jewel. But as I said yesterday and today, the reason why we did that is because a lot of these matches did have important aspects surrounding it. And a lot of what we said was spot on. I will leave you with what I said earlier with the recap, with the Crown Jewel recap. And if you haven't checked it out, look out for that banner. I'm very, very shocked that The Undertaker did not appear. What that tells me is that The Undertaker does not want to be on WWE television, period. He'll announce Pitbull, got a big payday, remember that. He'll do the haunted house thing with the New Day, but when it comes to WWE television, if he's brought back, it's got to mean something and be a little bit more important. And the fact that even Saudi couldn't get him on TV, that's very telling, very telling. So, but I thank you all. And by the way, 2 things I want to leave you with. I don't know what artist this guy is. Abdul 97 Abdul Malik. Thought that was a really cool photo. And this guy actually works for some entertainment outlet, I believe. And this depiction is actually very similar of what truly went down in Saudi Arabia. You see on the left the 2 kids giving flowers to Vince McMahon, Becky Lynch taking a selfie, with a local woman. You see Finn Balor there, Edge. I think is that Sasha Banks? That might be Sasha Banks. On her knees. I thought I saw Riddle somewhere. I honestly thought I saw Riddle somewhere. I don't see him now. But there's Roman Reigns in the background, Big E, Natalya, Seth Rollins. Now, yes, obviously this was not a picture and then drawn into a cartoon. Some of this is just poses, but that pretty much is how they look at it. This person is from Saudi Arabia. Different races, different religions, different cultures, but the same goal, to keep our children happy and make our lives a better place. You can look at it as propaganda if you want. I thought it was pretty cool. And I haven't looked at that during the show, but as you could see that the last couple of days, we broke 21,000 subscribers. I don't know. When I said that I would consider doing one reunion podcast episode when we hit 50,000, maybe people are now deciding, hey, let me subscribe and help get to that 50,000 number sooner than later. Getting the 50,000 next year is going, during 2022 is going to be very, very difficult, but we'll see. I'm going to be here as long as I'm healthy and I can do it still. I will be here for all of you. And maybe some of the formats change from time to time. I still want to do the idea of a show every day, but doing each one a lot shorter. So I hope that that's where this evolves. We'll see as the time goes. I got to get out of my habit. But as long as you're here supporting me and you enjoy the shows, makes me a very happy boy. So I want to thank you for all your support. I want to thank you for the 21,000 subscribers. And I want to thank Darren for reminding me of my misspelling error. Uncensored is missing an N. I have it fixed inside. I have to just upload it. So everyone, on your way out, hit that thumbs up. Tell your friends. Repost this episode elsewhere if you think people will enjoy it. Post comments. I'll see you all in a little less than 48 hours. So thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Be well. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. They were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the hosts. I even paid the masked Maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.